way to the stage.
Why, yes.
This is our roaster from MSA because the other way we know Mr. Steve is he's one of our songwriters, and if you don't know he writes songs and plays, you got to get him to do it sometime. All right, Bob.
I'm supposed to be making jokes and stuff like that, but instead of making jokes, I was thinking last night, I wanted to tell like an inspirational story about Steve instead of making jokes. A little over a year ago, we were having an MSA meeting over at the Escape Alley Sundry, and Steve came in and said that he had been placed on the list. And I said, "What list?" And he said, "The transplant list." I said, "What transplant list?" He said, "For heart transplant." And I didn't even know that Steve had a problem. That's how good he hid the problem. That I didn't even know that he had the problem. And so anyway, not too long after that, he went through the transplant. And after the transplant, we were texting and shooting Facebook messages back and forth, and he, everything that came out of him was inspiring. It was always upbeat. It was always happy, and all. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys all read that stuff, and it was all upbeat and everything like that. Well, then about a month and a half after that, my own father went through a quadruple bypass surgery. And he's out in California, and I'm in Tennessee, and so I couldn't be there. And so my father goes through the quadruple bypass, and when he comes out, now we start talking on the phone and everything like that, and it's a completely different story. My dad's complaining, he's complaining about this, and he's complaining about that, and he's complaining about this, and then he starts complaining about, well, they were supposed to let me go today, and this certain count was low, and so I couldn't go home, and the next day the count was high and I couldn't go home, and then when it was low and I couldn't go home, and after a few days of listening to this, I said, "Dad, can I tell you a story?" I said, one of my friends had a heart transplant about a month and a half ago. I said, and I'd like to share with you some of the things that he's said since his heart transplant, and he's still in the hospital. And I told him that during the transplant that blood clot had caused some damage to his spine, and so he's in a wheelchair. And he's going to have to go through some physical therapy, and it's going to take a little while. But I read some of the things that he had said, and I want you to know that you changed my dad's point of view out in California. And that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me. And I know that I'm not the only one. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.